Ever since Longines released their Zulu Time GMT, there's only been one question from Chinese watch enthusiasts. When are we gonna get a homage of this? Well, after what seems like the longest wait ever, we've finally got one from Pagani Design. I haven't reviewed a Pagani in over 2 years, and there's a reason for that. I just wasn't impressed by the quality of the last few watches that I got from them, but I thought I'd give them another shot with this new release. At $200, this is their most expensive watch ever. Have Pagani actually improved their quality in the last 2 years to justify that price increase? Well, you may have guessed the answer from the video title, but let's have a look at it anyway. We're off to a good start with the case. The dimensions are nice and compact, so it's going to fit the majority of wrist sizes. The whole case has a nice consistent brushing, and there's even a nice polished chamfer running down the top of the lugs. Looking at the side of the case, it looks and feels a bit chunky on the wrist. I think they should have shaved off a couple of millimeters from the height because there's just no reason for it to be this thick. The screw down crown is nicely sized and there's a ton of grip, so you can thread it in and out very smoothly. If you like using your bezel as a fidget spinner, you're going to love the bezel on this. It's the best bezel action I've experienced on a Pagani Design watch. The clicks are solid and consistent, and there's absolutely no backplay. Great bezel action on a Pagani? I never thought I'd see the day, so I have to give them props for this. It is a 120 click dive bezel though. I would have preferred a proper bidirectional GMT bezel, but it's not a huge issue for me at this price point. The ceramic insert has a nice shade of blue that ties in well with the dial, and the white GMT markers also match nicely with the white indices. Moving on to the crystal. The double dome sapphire is really clear, which is quite impressive for a Pagani. It even has a clear air coating to help minimize reflections. I mean, it helps, but I still saw a reflection of my face on the crystal quite often. That's just the nature of dome crystals though. I also had this issue on the San Martin I reviewed a while back. The dial is the star of the show on this GMT. It's a strong blue sunburst that's really dynamic. There's a nice polish ring that separates the minute track on the outside, and those raised applies indices look really well done. I also love how the diamond shape reliefs cut into the chapter ring. That's a cool touch. All these elements come together to give this dial a ton of visual interest. Looking at the hands, they have the right lengths, but I feel the hour and minute hand could have been a bit thicker to stand out, especially when you have that bright orange GMT hand fighting for your attention. My eyes were always drawn towards the GMT hand instead of the actual hour and minute hand. That made reading the time at a glance a bit tricky. Onto the lume, and if you've seen the lume on one Pagani, you've seen them all. Their weak lume has been one of the community's main complaints for years. I had high hopes we'd get better lume on this watch, but it's still the same weak lume. The lume on the bezel insert glows brighter than the lume on the hands and indices, which is kind of weird, and everything kind of disappears after 20 minutes or so. I mean, brands like Adi's Dive offer killer lume at $50, so I have no idea why Pagani hasn't improved the lume on their $200 watch. Onto the movement. This is a collar GMT, so it lets you track a second time zone with the GMT hand. The unit on this watch kept decent time. It was a bit faster than I'd like, but it was still within Seiko's tolerances. Moving on to the bracelet, and here's where it starts getting a bit rough. Credit where it's due, it's really comfortable, and the links have excellent articulation. But the end link design feels like a bit of an afterthought. They stick out further than the lugs, and it's just not a cohesive look. I also noticed some inconsistent brushing on a few links, which shouldn't really be there on a $200 watch. Another thing that shouldn't be on a $200 watch is this clasp. It's a generic clasp you'll find on many cheap bracelets on AliExpress. Other Chinese brands offer much better clasp at this price point, and some of them even come with quick adjust functions. This new release hasn't really changed my thoughts on Pagani Design. I really wanted to like this, but it just didn't do it for me. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad watch by any means. I mean, you could see from the review that it has some good things going for it. But the biggest thing going against it is that price. This does not look or feel like a $200 watch. Just put it beside any Seaston or San Martin and you'll immediately feel the difference in quality and overall refinement. It just pales in comparison to the other options you can get for that price point. But of course, if you like the design and you don't mind those shortcomings, I suggest waiting for the next AliExpress sale. As for me, this is probably the last Pagani Design I'm going to review. I just keep getting disappointed by the quality, and I'm even more disappointed with this one because it just costs so much more than the other models. I'm not going to buy another, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to send me one after seeing this review, but I just have to say it as it is. What do you think? Are you a fan of Pagani Design, and would you pay $200 for this watch? Do you think I'm being too harsh on them? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you're not convinced by this and you want a much higher quality GMT around this price point, check out the San Martin I reviewed. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.